Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into, well, a really intriguing corner of older medical knowledge. We're looking at a plant called Chiionanus virginica. Maybe you know it as the fringe tree.
Ah, yes, the fringe tree.
And what's so fascinating, really, is the surprising range of things it was reportedly used for. We're talking specific headaches, liver problems, even things that sound a bit like early descriptions of diabetes. It really makes you think, how could just one plant be connected to such different conditions?
That's the key question, absolutely. And to explore that, we're looking mainly at a foundational text, Homeopathic Materia Medica by William Boericke. Now, for anyone not familiar, Materia Medica is basically a detailed reference book for practitioners. It lists remedies and all the specific symptoms, the conditions they were thought to treat. So our deep dive today is really about the incredible symptom picture that Boericke paints for Chiionanus virginica in this specific historical text. And, what that tells us about that whole symptom pattern approach they used.
Yeah, that level of detail is something else. It makes the descriptions really, really precise for someone trying to identify the right remedy. So our mission here is to unpack those details, those connections Boericke makes, which sometimes seem a bit unexpected. We want to kind of reveal a perspective on health that might feel pretty different from how we often think today, but it offers these incredibly specific observations. So yeah, get ready. We're about to explore the conditions, the exact sensations, even some really peculiar ones associated with this remedy, trying to sort of decode Boericke's map, you could say. Okay, let's unpack this. Starting at the top, literally with headaches.
Right, headaches.
Boericke tells us Chiionanus virginica is often of service in many types of headaches. He lists neurasthenic, that's like nerve weakness or exhaustion, periodical sick headaches, menstrual headaches, bilious ones, often with nausea or vomiting. But what really jumped out at me was this claim. If taken for several weeks in drop doses, it will often break up the sick headache habit. That's quite specific, isn't it?
Fine.
Suggests tackling a chronic pattern, not just, a one-off headache.
Precisely. That's key. It's not just treating the symptom popping up right now.
Right.
It implies addressing some kind of underlying chronic tendency. That's really a hallmark of how these older systems, especially homeopathy, aim to work influencing deeper patterns, not just suppressing the acute stuff.
Okay.
And what's fascinating is the detail Boericke gives for these headaches. It's not just headache. He specifies the pain is mainly in the forehead, often over the eyes, or even through the temples. And he notes it's worse when you stoop, or with motion, or jarring. It's a very clear picture of a particular kind of headache.
Wow. Yeah. Very precise. So Boericke gives us this incredibly specific picture for headaches, but then, and this points to that holistic view we mentioned, he links it to totally different systems. Something that really struck me connecting the head to the body is how it pivots quite sharply to hepatic derangements, liver issues, basically.
Yeah, the liver connection is strong.
The text specifically mentions jaundice, an enlarged spleen, and then calls it a prominent liver remedy. Very direct.
Very direct.
And it even lists gallstones and diabetes mellitus as conditions where this might be useful. Plus, abdominal pain that comes in waves. I mean, that's a huge leap, isn't it?
Yeah.
From headaches to liver, pancreas, all tied to one plant.
It seems like a leap from a modern perspective, maybe, but it points to a core idea in homeopathic thinking. You don't prescribe for the disease label, like migraine or jaundice. You prescribe for the whole constellation, the totality of symptoms that a specific patient shows.
The whole picture.
Exactly. So Chiionanus wasn't just for headaches or liver issues separately. It was for a specific pattern that included both the characteristic headache and the liver signs. That pattern defined its unique picture in the Materia Medica. For instance, he notes a dull frontal headache, but then right away links it to a yellow conjunctiva.
Ah, the yellowing of the whites of the eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Which points straight to the liver being involved.
Right. And the tongue description is just as specific. Broad with thick yellow fur. Okay.
Yeah.
But then we get to the mouth. And this is, well, it's really peculiar. He says, dry sensation not relieved by water, also profuse saliva.
Ah, yes.
That's quite the paradox, isn't it? How can you have both? A dry feeling that water doesn't help and lots of saliva at the same time. It's such a unique, almost contradictory detail.
Well, this contradictory aspect is actually really valuable in these symptom-based approaches.
Oh, how so?
Because it's not just about a dry mouth or some salivation. It's about that specific, unusual combination. That makes it a really strong identifier for this remedies picture.
Oh.
It helps the practitioner find the precise match for the patient's unique experience.
Okay, I see. It's the weirdness that makes it specific.
Kind of, yeah. And the abdomen and liver section continues this theme, these very specific sensations.
Right, the abdomen and liver section, it has some incredibly vivid descriptions. Besides the aching in umbilical region and griping, there's this amazing description. Look at this. Feels as if a string were tied in a slip knot around intestines, which was suddenly drawn tight and then gradually loosened.
A slip knot, yes.
I mean, a slip knot, that's just such a vivid, almost poetic way to describe a feeling inside you.
It really is. So specific.
And it connects back to the liver again, noting the liver is sore, enlarged with jaundice and constipation.
Indeed. And the stool descriptions, equal detailed.
Go on.
Clay-colored stool, also soft, yellow, and pasty. Now this, along with the heavily coated tongue and no appetite, it paints a very clear picture of, likely, bilious colic, that severe abdominal pain from bile issues, and definite liver tenderness. He even mentions pancreatic disease and other glandular disorders. That observation of stool color, especially clay-colored, is a classic sign of problems with bile flow. So Boericke isn't just listing things randomly, he's observing with real purpose.
Okay, so the stool gives clues, and the urine isn't left out either, is it?
Not at all. Boericke notes a large amount of high specific gravity, meaning it's concentrated, frequent urination, and importantly, bile and sugar in urine.
Sugar in the urine.
Yes, and the urine is described as very dark. That detail about sugar in urine is particularly striking when you remember he mentioned diabetes mellitus earlier.
Right, it's a direct observation linking the internal state to something you can actually see and measure.
Exactly. And the skin, too, gets its own specific descriptions. Yellow, marked moisture of skin. Sallow, greenish, itching.
Again, reinforcing that systemic connection, the skin color reflecting liver health.
Absolutely. So these aren't just scattered symptoms. They form this cohesive, though complex picture that practitioners were trained to see as the Chiionanus Virginica state. It really makes you appreciate the observational rigor, like medical detectives piecing together a unique fingerprint for each person's condition.
Yeah, medical detectives, I like that.
And this detailed way of describing symptoms, it really prompts us to think about the value of that kind of sharp observation in medicine, both back then and maybe even now.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, it's really quite remarkable, isn't it, to look back at the incredible range of conditions Chiionanus virginica was indicated for in Boericke's work.
It really is broad.
We saw it suggested for everything from breaking that sick headache habit, a really ingrained chronic thing, to acute issues like jaundice, gallstones, and even chronic conditions like diabetes mellitus. And those truly unique, memorable symptoms we discussed, that vivid slipknot feeling in the intestines,
Unforgettable.
the yellow conjunctiva, that weird paradox in the mouth with dryness and profuse saliva. There's such specific, vivid historical descriptions. It makes Boericke's work so compelling to read.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating here isn't just the list of ailments. It's the emphasis on these tiny observations, the exact color of the skin, the nature of the stool, that very particular feeling in the abdomen. These details, which might seem unrelated, were meticulously linked to one remedy through this idea of complete symptom picture.
Right.
It really makes you ask, what can we learn from systems that focus so intently on the precise way symptoms presented themselves? Seeing the body as this network of interconnected signals, not just isolated parts.
It really does make you think. So for you, our listener, here's something that to maybe mull over. Think about how deeply interconnected our bodily systems truly are, and how different historical medical texts, like Boericke's Materia Medica, push us to view health and disease not just as isolated problems, but as complex linked states. How might paying closer attention to the sort of nuanced language of our own bodies, or the incredible details that physicians like Boericke's observed, offer us new insights into well-being, into the unique patterns of our own health?